Alright, another hot night in the garage here in North Carolina. It is beautiful outside, but a little toasty. Wanted to show you what I got here so far. So I've been working on a couple things. So some fabrication kind of stuff. I got the sissy bar bag all loaded up. I made a tool roll. Found a really cool leather tool roll on Lowbrow for a good discount. Loaded that up with spare tools, wrenches, basically every size wrench, push rod adjuster, nut, spoke wrench, you name it in there. Also got kind of a layout roll mat for kind of camping, but might be kind of cool on some long rides. And then also one of the Lowbrow spare gas tank canister kind of deals, all in the sissy bar bag. I'll be leaning back on that. We got that loaded up. Also got, what did I do? Put in a little bracket spacer here, wrapped with some padding to hold the wires down. I was able to grind down this C-post a little bit, make it all smooth. No wires are going to chafe now. Don't need foam junk stuck in there. This is plenty good for all the wiring. Also did this little funky piece. I got bored and had a strap of brass laying around, and I know the throttle position location. I'm waiting on Motion Pro, so I got to get a custom throttle cable that connects a 7/8 British Japanese 7/8 throttle housing down to the S&S E carb. But I know the routing of the throttle cable. It's going to kind of come up behind the gas tank line here and going to come up right beside the neck, and I wanted some sort of a stay. And there was already two holes drilled in the gusset plate here, so I was able to use those, capitalize on those. And I had this piece of brass, and I just kind of played with it, bent it around until it looked kind of like a ribbon, and it actually should work. Don't know if you can see down through there. It should work right through there. Throttle cable will go right through. I'll fish it down through, and that'll just be a little bit of a stay to keep the throttle cable from bouncing around and flopping around all over the place. So got that mounted up, and then I started working on wiring. So here's what I did. If you remember from the last video, I had long whips of, what was it, green and purple hanging out of the backbone. That's the headlight, low beam and high beam. And then I had blue and yellow hanging out here, which was the basically ground wires for the neutral switch and oil pressure switch going up to the warning lights. So what I was able to do, like I said in the last video, I basically started here and put on a crimp connector and shrink tube on the connection between this cloth covered wire and the good wire. Started there and then fished it up into the hole or down in the hole and kind of pulled back the slack back here or under the bike. That way this is a nice, clean, tidy line. Nothing's going to fray, nothing's going to bind, nothing's going to be gross or short out anytime soon. And then from there, twisted up the wires and then fed them up into the back of the housing of the top headlight. So this is the main headlight, this is the clear one. The bottom is the amber, the top is the clear. So I fed those up through. Also did a whip, you can see it. You can see it here, of just straight up black wire. So 2 black wires, and those are twisted together. I had to mark them because they're not colored, and I'm not going to shrink tube them, and they're not cloth covers. So I had to mark them to make sure I kept track of which one is which. But this is basically hot and high beam going from the top headlight down around the back and popping out at the lower headlight, the amber one. I was able to use test lights and confirm that these aluminum housings were good ground. So all I did was drilled a little aftermarket hole in the bottom of the headlight housing. I'm using that as a ground wire. So I got this ground plug ready for the top headlight. Plenty of whip, plenty of extra wire in case I need to ever modify anything in the future. And as you can see, it's kind of dangling super sketchily down right now. The lower amber headlight is all wired up. Let me see if I can get it to stay. So I got the twisted black wire in, crimp connector, and then shrink tube over top. That's not going anywhere anytime soon. Plenty good for my my scale. Ground wire going to the bucket. So that gets all of this set up. This guy's ready. I was actually just about to button him up and put him in. I'm like, hey, hang on, let me do a quick video and show. So basically now I got to do is wire up the top headlight. And this one's going to be a little bit trickier because it has the warning lights, low and high, and the feeds out to the bottom light. So there's going to be a lot of things kind of gathered up in dual, 2 or 3 or sometimes even 4 wires connected into the same crimp connector. So it's all good though. Got everything marked. So there's the low beam hot coming in, which means this is probably the high beam. Then over here is probably the warning lights. So this is neutral and oil. You notice I marked them G for grounds because that's actually really what's happening. So hot's gonna come in to both of these, red, from the low beam hot. So these all gotta get hooked together and also hooked to the hot wire from the headlight that's sitting on my workbench. But then these are the ground wires, and it's going to ground itself out through these two grounds here for neutral and oil. Now I'm using those terms kind of carefully because I did test on the battery and using test lights. It doesn't matter which one of these is the hot coming in and which one is going out to ground. Like these lights themselves, the LEDs will light up no matter what. If red was ground on a battery and black was hot positive on a battery, it would still light up, and vice versa. So it doesn't really matter. I'm just trying to keep it straight in my mind for safekeeping, right? That typically black is ground, right, in any normal situation. So if I ever open this up in the future, 2-3 years from now, or some future owner opens this up and looks at it, if he sees red and black, his initial instinct is going to assume that black goes to ground. So I want to keep that same methodology, same kind of thinking, and you should too, wherever possible. It doesn't always happen because sometimes you got to run black wires for hot stuff, but that's the general gist. Lots going on in this top headlight bucket, a lot of wires, but hopefully when it's all said and done, it'll all be buttoned up here tonight, later on. Stay tuned to the Instagram. I just posted a picture of this, and I will post a picture of the finished product, of the finished headlight assembly, all wired up, everything clean, everything tidy, and the wires that are exposed are either cloth covered or completely black. Trying to keep it clean, because choppers are supposed to look minimalistic, and I think this view here is about as minimalistic as I can get without doing some serious through the frame kind of preparation, which I'm not doing on this bike. So stay tuned for more video 10 coming up, and I'm probably going to tackle the coils next. That's a big step. I don't know, maybe I'll do the battery area next. I don't know, that's a lot too. So I don't know, I'll go back and forth. One of those is coming up next, unless I chicken out and do the oil pressure, neutral, and rear brake stuff next. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Stay tuned, guys. More to come as I wire up each part of this. Hopefully it's helpful as always. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions, or hit me up on email, Instagram, Facebook, snail mail. I don't know, send up a smoke flare or some way or another. I'll get it and respond if you guys got questions, comments, or feedback. So cheers, enjoy, and see you soon.